Next station, airport.
It's January 2021 and yes, I am in an airport. I honestly didn't think I'd be flying again quite so soon, especially not as the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic is still raging away. But unfortunately, I do have an important family matter that I have to travel for. So here I am in Hong Kong International Airport, and today I'm going to be traveling back to Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, and I'm flying Cathay Pacific. I have plenty of time actually, but I'm gonna go right ahead and get checked in. Check-in, as you may expect, was pretty straightforward. They did want to see the documents that prove that I had right to enter Malaysia. So that's an important point when you travel these days, is that lots of countries, pretty much all countries I think, have very stringent regulations on entry. So do make sure that you print out your documents if possible, and definitely get them all ready to show at various stages of your journey. And as you might expect, security was really easy to clear because the airport is so empty. I'm now in the sort of airside area, and behind me is the food court. There are a few shops open, but not all of them are open. One thing that I did notice is that they were really paying attention to segregate passengers. So the transit passengers were separated from the departing passengers, who were also separated from airport staff. And if you look at the tables, they have got all the plastic dividers, and people are really nicely spaced out. So with the airport this empty, I guess social distancing is also very much possible. So if you're coming and want a bite to eat, then I feel completely comfortable about it. However, I fortunately do have access to Cathay Pacific's lounge. I'm flying economy, but I am a Marco Polo Club member, so I am gonna go check that out and hang out there instead. I am in the wing first class lounge of Cathay Pacific, and actually when they first brought me in, they got me to the restaurant, served me a meal a la carte, and it was absolutely tasty. I normally only get access to the business class lounge, and this place is definitely a step above the business class lounges. In fact, because the wing first class is the only lounge open at this time, if you have any lounge access normally because of your status or whatever it is, then this is the lounge you get access to. So that's a nice little bonus. And now that I've eaten some food, which again was super tasty, every ingredient was really yummy, the fruits were so good. So I guess I understand the appeal of first class, even if I generally don't pay for it. And I've come into what they call the cabana, which are some suites. So I think there are 5 of them, and check this place out. Pretty sure I've seen some Hong Kong flats which are smaller than this little private suite that they have. You can shower, there's a big bathtub which you can run. I'm a little bit tempted to run it, but actually I do have to get to my boarding gate, so I'm gonna head over and see what it's like. So it's actually already final call time when I got to the gate. They are actually using some sort of fully contactless boarding gates where you don't have to show anything, you just step up to the boarding gate, remove your face mask and then it scans you and then lets you through. So I'm not sure whether this is a privacy issue or not, but it works. So the flight's actually not as empty as I expected, just based on the seat map of when I checked in. I actually selected an emergency exit row, and then when I got to my seat I discovered that there was somebody sat right behind me, which to be honest is still not a problem because the flight is still empty enough that you can move, and I just have moved myself to one of the empty middle row seats. And I almost never choose the empty middle row seats, but in this case I kind of prefer to be a little bit further than everybody else. And I also actually realized that the exit row seat is actually quite loud, so you probably wouldn't have been able to hear me talk. So but yeah, absolutely fine, plenty of space. Like the nearest person is, I definitely can't even reach. If you haven't flown yet during this coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic, a few things that you'll probably see on flights. Well, first and most obvious, not just on flight but in the airports as well, is that face coverings are pretty much mandatory in all airports that I think, and all flights nowadays. So you're meant to keep your face covering on at all times during the flight, except when you're eating or drinking. The other thing that you'll probably also notice is that people bring their own cleaning wipes, and when they get onto the seat they'll start cleaning all around them, just to make sure it's fully hygienic. Now, most airlines will obviously tell you that they do a very thorough clean, disinfect everything, but I think just for your own peace of mind, it's worth the extra, 30 seconds just to have a little wipe. Now, Cathay does actually give you one of the care kits, which they'll give you just after takeoff, which does have a couple of antiseptic wipes and also a spare face mask if you need. And on the subject of food, here in economy class there is no choice, so they just come around, hand you one of these things. In here today we've got a Spanish peppers frittata and some other things. What we got? Like a granola bar, shortbread, bread roll, and some fruit. Oh, actually I don't think it's bread roll, I think it's a sandwich of some sort, so I'm gonna have a little taste and let you know what it's like. Food is actually quite nice. I think I actually prefer this kind of little bits of snacky things compared to a hot meal, especially for lunch. And I also had some really nice food in the first class lounge before the flight, so I'm a happy bunny. So before today, the previous flight that I took was also a Cathay Pacific flight, but it was from London to Hong Kong, so it was long haul, and it was also in business class. So check out that other video for that experience, which was absolutely fantastic. Unlike in business class, the economy section service is a little bit scaled down, but I think still in Cathay's very high standards, very efficient, the crew really friendly, and I feel pretty safe with all the measures that they are implementing, even here in economy class. It's a 4-hour flight and they've just dimmed the lights, so I guess I could just go to sleep, but I'm gonna check out Cathay's in-flight entertainment system, which is usually very excellent.
your seatbelt fastened until the seatbelt sign has been turned off. Please be careful when opening the overhead compartment.
Landed and here in Kuala Lumpur International Airport, and probably as expected most of the shops are closed. I'm off to go and find out what all the procedures I need to do to enter Malaysia. That will be the subject of another video, but I'll catch you guys when I'm in the hotel for my quarantine. And here I am in the Hotel Istana in Kuala Lumpur, where I am doing my 7-day mandatory quarantine. Yep, that means that I cannot leave this hotel room at all for 7 days. So if you want to make me feel a little bit better about it, I would really appreciate it if you could click the like button underneath this video right now. Yeah! And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, then do consider also hitting that subscribe button while you're at it. Anyway, back to Kuala Lumpur. The procedures in the airport actually only took about 90 minutes from when I landed till when I got my bags and was able to leave the airport. So that's actually not bad at all considering the times that we are in. I am actually making a separate video of my experience traveling to Malaysia, which will cover how I got permission to come to Malaysia, what happens at the airports when you arrive in KL International Airport, and also what's involved in this 7-day mandatory hotel quarantine. So if that's something of interest to you, then do check out that other video, which will be out shortly. As for flying in 2021, it's pretty obvious that we're still in the midst of the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic, which is unlikely to go away anytime soon. My money is on the fact that travel won't really ease up until probably late summer at the absolute earliest. So if you are thinking of flying in 2021, if you're thinking of traveling, especially internationally, I do urge you to consider 3 things. Number 1, do you actually need to travel at this time? My dad is really ill in hospital. He's actually terminally ill, so this is probably going to be the last time that I get to see him. So I don't think I could forgive myself if I didn't make all the effort, no matter what the risk, to come and see him. Now, you have your own situation and circumstances. I'm not going to tell you what's right or wrong for you, but do consider whether or not the trip that you are thinking of making is really necessary, because any travel these days does help the coronavirus COVID-19 to spread and to mutate. Number 2, if you do decide that you need to travel, then do also recognize that pretty much every country in the world at the moment has tons and tons of restrictions on top of the normal visa regulations. Many countries won't even allow you to visit if you're not already a resident or a citizen of the country. So do your research, make sure that you fulfill all the requirements before you attempt to hop on a plane, because airlines will absolutely check before they allow you to board a flight. Number 3, realize that things can change at any point in time. So even if you've done all your research, you know exactly what you're getting into, going to a place, things can change pretty much overnight. So if you're already on your trip, then suddenly you might find yourself being stranded there and not being able to come home. That's a real possibility. A good example of this is in Hong Kong. We woke up on Christmas Day to the fact that anyone who's been in the UK is effectively barred from entering Hong Kong. So there was a whole bunch of people that I knew who had gone back to the UK to see relatives, family for Christmas. And what happens on Christmas Day? They find out that they are stranded and not able to enter Hong Kong without doing all manner of complicated things like flying to another country for another 21 days. And speaking of 21 days, Hong Kong also decided to drop the bombshell that the already 14-day hotel quarantine was extended to 21 days. So again, Even if you've done your research, you think you know what you're getting yourself into, be prepared at least mentally that things are going to change when you're on your trip itself. All that said, I would say that flying is actually fairly safe. As far as I know, there haven't been many outbreaks of COVID-19 on planes. Now, part of that is fundamental facts of how airplanes are built, the precautions the airlines are taking, but also precautions that passengers themselves are taking. So if you do decide to fly in 2021, please do take all the precautions. Please do follow all the instructions of the airlines and the local authorities where you are visiting. Please especially do keep your face mask on. Wear it properly, wear a proper face mask throughout the entire flight as much as possible. And if you're able to, then space yourselves out a little bit from other passengers. Anyway, I hope that this video, my experiences, my thoughts about flying in 2021 have been useful. If you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you click that like button. And if you know of anybody else who might benefit from the information in this video, then do feel free to share it with them. Hope to see you in another one of my videos, but in any case, I hope that you stay safe, stay healthy, and also stay happy in 2021.